Hey guys, today we tie a little flash fly, and we tie it with different colors of Hedron Flashabou. So we tie this fly here, and we tie a Monotail loop in. So we tie it with a semperfil thread, wax thread 6/0, orange. I just like the color, gives the fly a little bit of highlights underneath if visible. So we just keep on tying on this loop here and grab our pre-mixed colors and just tie them down. Like that. Cut the thread and remove the tail. So we tie this fly on a premium Pike Hook from Traun River in 3/0. Hope you can see that here. And we changed the thread to 100 denier Nanosilk thread from semperfil as well. It's a bit stronger, just gives me a little bit more stability on my loops for getting the flesh into the fly. Just secure thread wraps a little bit with some super glue, just to make sure that the friction on the shank stays in place. And then we take a bit of our hard mono and just tie it on top of the hook shank, like that, and go all the way down with the thread into the bend of the hook. So when we fold the hard mono back now, our loop is now lying on the hook shank here in the bend and stays upright. And then we take our tail, which we made before, and we just hang it into the hard mono, and now we can close the loop. Just tie it down, check the length, looks good. This gives the fly nice movement. Just tie everything down. And we go with the thread back to the hook point and secure everything with a little bit of super glue. Then we take our mixed Flashabou again. So this is full length. You can see the different colors. And then we fold it and cut it in half. And we form a loop here. Go with the bobbin 1 or 2 times around the loop, or around the thread to close the loop, and just tie it forward. I always just make a little half hitch here, so our thread stays out of the way. Like that. And then we can just get the Marc Petitjean dubbing spinner into the thread. Get a little bit of dubbing wax that really helps you with spinning Flashabou, as it's a really slicky synthetic material. As you all know, it really has a tendency to slide out of the loops if you just do it a little bit wrong. The trick, however, is to just pull it a little bit upwards and really pull it, because if you pull it, that is really closing this loop, and then you distribute while pulling with the left hand or the right hand, as you prefer. You distribute the Flashabou in the loop. As finer you do that, as better will be the results, as you don't tread that many hairs then. can just start spinning it. The Mark Petitjean tool is a little bit slower than other tools for making that, but you have a lot of control about what you do, so that's definitely a benefit. But if you want to be quick, then you probably take better one of these Stonfo F dubbing twisters. So we keep spinning that, and then we brush out the fibers that are caught by the thread, and just try to brush them out. Be careful with the thread. This is just thread, no stainless steel wire, so we have to brush a little bit more carefully to not cut through the thread, but still make sure that we get a lot of the fibers out, as this is giving our fly a little bit of volume that you can obtain with flash. And we spin it a little bit more, not too much. Check if these are tight at the end. If the fibers at the end are tight, your dubbing loop is you twisted it strong enough, because first it closes at the beginning of your dubbing twister, and the loop closes all the way down to the hook shank. So if the fibers here in the rear are sitting tight, you have spun it enough. So now we just moisture our finger a bit. It just makes life easier, especially with Flashabou. And then just fold it back, and then we can just go around our hook shank. And we do it like 2 or 3 times with these flash loops, as it's just looking better and more cleaner if you do it in several times and in a big loop. And you can also secure then the steps in between. So if a pike really hits the fly badly and opens the thread, your fly is not completely destroyed immediately. It can be quite a nice thing when you do fish for pike. So we catch the thread and cut it. And what I do then is I reverse the thread a bit and then brush it out first. So this really gets all the hairs out that are trapped again by winding around the hook shank. We prevent it to trap too many by folding it backwards, but you can't always make it perfect, so you have to brush it out after each step a bit. And then we secure it with a little bit of super glue here again, and then we form a new loop for the next step. Go around the thread again to close the loop in the beginning, and wind the thread forward. Make a knot here as well, and get a dubbing twister again and into the jewel. Take a little bit of wax. It's the same process now over and over again till we reach the hook eye. So I think I might fast forward that a bit. Sort of flash in. Get the thread fibers out. Now it's tight. Moisture your fingers a bit. Just move the material around the hook shank. on that. We catch the thread again. Cut the dubbing twist off, always pointed upwards. When the thread is dangling downwards at the same time, you can't cut your thread. You just secure it a little bit more, and then we brush out our material again. And these flies, they can take quite a bit of flesh, but as you more flesh, each pike will pull a little bit of flesh out. So as more flesh you really tie into these flies, it won't make them much heavier, as flesh really doesn't have any weight, but it will make the fly longer fishable for sure, as it just keeps the volume longer. So we do the same thing now again for the last time. First of all though, I want to apply a little bit of super glue here. Same process for making a loop again. Getting a knot in there. Getting the hairs out of the way. I was looking for that but couldn't find it. It was behind my wires. So a clamp here is really nice to get the material out of the way. Just a cheap hair clamp. Get the dubbing twister in the loop again. Use some wax. And the thread takes the Flashabou. This is a half of a new piece. So just distribute it evenly. And spin it. Brush the last time the fibers out again. Same process as always, moisturizing the fingers. And just work the daubing loop or the flesh loop around the hook shank. All the way to the hook eye. You can just as bucktail, you can push it a little bit back if you don't have enough space. That kind of can stack the loop a little bit. Brush it out a bit as we are now really getting close to the hook eye. And then we hold it in position with the left hand and just catch our thread again like that. And we can cut our dubbing twister off. Brush it out a bit. Our fly is nearly finished. Just get a knot in here. Take a little bit of our Gulff super glue and just apply it on the front section where our thread is. The glue is soaking into the material. And now through the brush we have a perfect taper, and now we form our head. And the head we form with the Stonfo Streamer head, like a soft head. and with some Gulff, and I use for that the classic Gulff and the Abulance Fl Red. And the trick is that we put a little bit of super glue of the UV glue on the belly side where the gills are supposed to be, just enough to fill the mask. And this will also, when we slide the mask on top of it, we can cure it with the light, with the Gulff torch, through the fish mask. And this keeps everything really nicely in place. So we just keep turning it a bit. When applying the fish mask, I just press a little bit on it and it widens up a bit, so we don't mess around with all the glue. Slide it on top of it and tighten it by curing the glue. So last thing we do now, so we made the gills, you can see they're highly UV fluorescent, I like that. Last thing to do now is to glue some eyes on it, and for that I'll take the 6mm Smartlures, fluorize. For this pattern I'll take the pink ones though. They just fit perfectly on these fish masks, and you just apply a little bit of the super glue on the fish mask. You could do that with UV glue as well, but the super glue really does the trick here. And then just apply the eyes, wait a bit. So now you've got a perfect flash fly articulated on a monotail, which I'll fish for sure in Rügen, and I'll keep you updated how the pikes liked it there. Thanks for watching.